How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Critically Incorrect, your weekly gaming podcast. I guess I'll just start off like really quickly out the gate. Yeah, I'm in a new location. I'm back actually to the room I started this podcast, and I'm out from uni for a few weeks. As you can see, it looks a bit different, but cool change of pace and scenery. Besides that, as you probably already noticed, this podcast is going up a bit later than usual. That's just because obviously the holiday season. I was traveling yesterday, which is the day we were planning on recording it. We obviously wanted to wait until after the Game Awards to record this episode this week because that's really the bulk of the gaming news we have for. So that obviously made the most sense. That's why you're seeing it here on either Sunday or Monday. But yeah, with that being said, I'm joined today by Charlie, if you wanted to say hi.
Oh,
And yeah, I guess we'll just start with what we've been playing the past week or so. So Charlie, give us the rundown on what you've been playing.
yeah. I've played quite a bit this week. The vast majority of my time has basically been all of Halo. So I planned to play through all of them before Infinite came out because the only one I had like beaten was Halo 4 in the past. That was the only one I owned myself. I'd played bits of the others, but never beat them all. So I played Halo 1 a few months back, and started up and got through most of Halo 2, and then just never went back to it. So on, I think it was Monday night, I decided to try and get through as many as I could. So I managed to get through two, so the end of two, three, ODST, four, and five. By the time I played Infinite, five I finished the day after the Infinite came out. So I think it was Thursday morning. I think I beat it, something like that. So yeah, I managed to get through them pretty quick. They're not too long a game, to be fair. So once I'd like kind of gotten into the rhythm of just playing one after the other, it wasn't too bad. And I had a lot of fun doing that. And then obviously I've been playing quite a bit of Infinite. I think I'm like 6-7 hours into Infinite's campaign, although I don't think I'm actually that far in the story because, as you've probably seen, it's kind of open world. So I've been mainly going around doing all like the side stuff, and I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. Unfortunately, the performance is not very good on PC. There's some really annoying stuttering no matter what you do with like locking the frame rate and stuff that just can't be avoided, which is a real shame because otherwise I think that the game's really good. Visually, it's not the most impressive, but it still looks great. But yeah, that performance really lets it down on PC. So I think if you have the choice, definitely try and play it on console because from what I've seen, it doesn't have any of those performance issues. So hopefully they can iron a lot of that stuff out relatively soon because that's right now my only negative with the game. And maybe the plot because there hasn't been a ton of plot in the game right now. And after playing through the others, I kind of want to get more plot because there's a big jump between 5 and this one, and I don't really know where the story's going. So hopefully that improves a bit. But overall, I'm having fun with that. And then aside from that, I have also played a decent amount of the new chapter of Fortnite. Obviously, we did mention this last week because we knew that the event was happening last weekend. And then they dropped the new season on a Sunday, which was kind of odd. I don't think me or Brandon expected that, so we were kind of underprepared to play that when it came out. But I have played a decent amount. I'm enjoying it from what I have tried. I don't think there's been as many changes this chapter as there was from the jump to chapter 1 to 2, but I think the changes that are there are really cool. Some of the new like movement options are really fun. I'm enjoying the map so far. I think the collab they've got from the start, having Spider-Man there, is really cool. I know they added like his at the time of recording his web shooters in today, but
I played it today.
I haven't had a chance to try it, but I did see some clips and it looks cool. So hopefully I'll get to play that. Although I did see somebody say it got disabled or something already. I don't really know. But yeah, I'm excited to give that a try. And I have also downloaded the new Warzone stuff with the new map, but I haven't played it yet, so I'm hoping to play some later. But I think that is it this week. I've played a lot, to be honest.
Nice. You'd think it'd be the opposite because like this week has been finals week for me, but I actually played quite a bit as well. For starters, I've also been playing Fortnite, and the new chapter's been pretty good. A lot of my friends are currently playing it, so it's nice to see that. I definitely think, first of all, my thoughts on it coming out on a Sunday, I was like, of course they would do that because I had like a final the next day, but I still ended up playing a bit of it. And, I do like it. I think the map's pretty cool, although I'm still kind of getting used to it. A lot of it is snowy, which I think I like, because we haven't had snow in Fortnite in like ages, really. Has the like I don't even think the second chapter ever got snow like permanently, so it's really cool to see that.
I mean, they
Uh,
had the snow area at the bottom of the map, right? Bottom right.
oh, I guess so. That yeah, but it was like 10, like a 5 or 10% of the map. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, besides that, I think the changes are pretty cool. Sliding's been pretty awesome. Yeah, it's been a nice change. That was always like a part of Fortnite that kind of felt clunky when you're going downhill a bit. So it's kind of like the same thing what they did with the water. They made something that was clunky, less clunky, which is cool. Besides that, there wasn't really anything too drastic. Um, yeah, but it's still fun. Definitely enjoying it. I did try out the web swinging update they did today, which is funny because it came out today on a Saturday, so I guess they're doing weekend updates from now on. So the swinging is honestly incredible. Like you really feel like you are. Like, I don't want to say this, but like you really feel like you're Spider-Man. I had to. But like it's honestly really impressive. Like if you've seen the Marvel's Avengers gameplay of Spider-Man, like it's even better than that, which is funny. Yeah, it's just really fluid. It's honestly kind of broken because you get like 80 swings, so you like
Jeez.
you can literally just go around the map if you want to, as long as there's like trees or something. Like the range is pretty good as well. So yeah, it's pretty impressive. I'm definitely enjoying it. Besides that, I did end up beating a game for once, Metroid Dread. Yeah, I played through like half that game this week. Really solid. I think it's like one of my favorite 2D games ever. I think the level design is pretty good. It's a Metroidvania, but it's not like other Metroidvanias that you think of, like Hollow Knight. It's like pretty linear actually. A lot of the ways that they design their problems is they like block off certain old areas that you've been to. This is kind of like to protect the player from getting lost. Like if they get a new ability and they wonder where they can use it, they kind of block off the ability, like the ability to go back to like other areas, to kind of like keep you in like a contained area, and you don't really feel like you are unless you like play a lot of games and you notice that sort of thing. So yeah, it has really good level design, a lot of upgrades. It's one of my favorite games this year. So yeah, definitely am really happy I beat that, and on to some other games now that I started some, when I started winter break now. So I kind of decided I want to move on to Deathloop, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and maybe one other game. But those are like at least the two games I kind of want to focus on. I mainly decided those games just because those are like the big console games I'm currently going through at the moment. And right now I did move back to my family, so I'm using my 4K 60 monitor I left here, instead of my 1440p by or just 1440p by 144 hertz. So obviously like it's kind of better on console right now because I'm going from like 1080p for like the last few months back to 4K. And then obviously like my PC games are a little bit less smooth, so it just makes more sense to focus on console games for the next few weeks while I have the better monitor for that. So I probably won't be touching Halo for a few weeks, at least on the campaign side, just because I'd rather play that when I get back to my PC monitor. But yeah, I guess we'll move on to out this week. So as we talked about earlier, Halo Infinite campaign that came out, I believe on like a Wednesday or some weird date like that, right? Yeah, it was on the 8th.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been getting really positive reception. I've seen some people say like the performance is kind of all over the place once you get to the open world section. I think you talked a bit about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely cool to see that's finally out. And then obviously Fortnite Chapter 3 that dropped last Sunday. And then Vanguard, yeah, Warzone Season 1. Not sure when this dropped. Do you know the date that happened?
I think that was also Wednesday. I want to say it was Tuesday or Wednesday.
Interesting. And yeah, they're pretty much the releases this week, and then I think those are essentially the last ones because we're entering the holiday season here. So what we have is kind of what we have. But yeah, we'll move on to the gaming news this week, which outside of the Game Awards isn't really that much. So yeah, we'll breeze through this stuff pretty quickly here. So our first news story has to do with that another acquisition. I saw this tweet and I was like, holy hell, who is it this time? It is actually a support studio, which a lot of people are going to gloss over, but it is important because ultimately there's a lot of support studios that go on behind the scenes. Like yeah, game development nowadays is made by like thousands of people. If you look at the credits of Red Dead Redemption 2, it's insane. So yeah, it's obviously pretty important. Valkyrie has been known in the past on working on games like Halo, Forza, I think God of War. I think they're currently working actually with Sony Santa Monica on God of War Ragnarok, so that makes sense. So yeah, pretty cool to see that they acquired them. Yeah, they're going to be a support studio for essentially PlayStation's first party studios going forward. So yeah, Charlie, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's crazy how many they have acquired. I think I read in the article that was put up, I think it was GameSpot's one, that it's like 5 studios in the past year they've acquired, which is crazy. Especially considering like Microsoft will really have been talking big about their acquisitions over the past few years, and then PlayStation seem to have gone back into doing that again. I think what two out of the five are support studios. So what is it, Valkyrie, and then I can't remember what the studio's name. That do like PC ports and that kind of thing. And then obviously Housemarque, Blue Point, and what was the other? Firespray. That's the other studio. So like they've really been racking up the portfolio this year. It's interesting that they made kind of like a big post about it, right? Because it's not like it's a developer that people are probably gonna have heard of. It's not one
It's
I
good
have
headlines, I
personally heard of.
guess.
Yeah, I suppose it always looks good when you see that PlayStation are acquiring more studios, right? Because it's just bolstering your portfolio with more people, and kind of taking away business from others, right? Because I think they helped out on Halo and things like that
Yeah,
as
Forza as
well.
well.
So, yeah, so they've worked on a lot of stuff. What this means, I imagine it just means they're going to be helping out on more of the first party stuff. I wouldn't imagine this is going to be, anything too crazy. But yeah, it's cool to see that PlayStation is still on the acquisition game, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be stopping anytime soon with this stuff. I imagine we'll see a lot more next year as well. So
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who they could acquire going forward, and like I'm at a loss. I think
Remedy,
it's
man, it's going to happen
Remedy.
one
That's
day.
true. That
I
is
see
true.
it.
Remedy's gotten like a lot of money from like Epic and other companies, but who knows? Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, it's really cool to see. Anyways, another news story: Uncharted Legacy of Thieves kind of got some updates. They had like a blog post and like a new trailer, kind of outlining what's in the PS5 remaster, and kind of gave some details on the pricing of sorts. So I think the biggest news here was the fact that if you own Uncharted 4 or if you own Lost Legacy, essentially you get the game for just $10. You get both of them. So it's really cool that they're kind of being open to this. So even if you own only like one or the other, you can essentially just buy you can buy the whole collection for a $10 upgrade, which I think is really good to see. A lot of people have really good reception to that. There is like the only negative part about this is the fact that it doesn't include PS Plus, which is a similar case we saw with Final Fantasy VII last year, which makes sense obviously because they kind of gave it out for free, right? Yeah, so some people are complaining about that, but I think a lot of people already own Uncharted 4 anyway. Like like a lot of people, especially the people that watch this podcast, that watch us, that you probably already own Uncharted 4, so most of you are going to be eligible for a $10 upgrade. I think that's pretty good. Besides that, it is like a $50 normal charge, so if you don't own any of those, yeah, that's what you're looking at. I honestly think it's probably cheaper to just buy like a physical copy of Uncharted 4 or something and just do it that way, because you could probably pick up the game for like $10-20 now and get around it that way. But yeah, digitally, I think they're like delisting them now or something, right, Charlie? So like you're
I'm
kind
not
of
actually
forced.
sure. I haven't looked into that too much, to be honest. But I
I think I saw
imagine
something like
it's going to
that.
be happening, yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, they also did kind of give some details on like the modes that they're going to be offering and kind of what's included, like haptic feedback, 3D audio. In terms of like the graphical and performance modes, they did some weird wording on like one of them. They said that they're bringing over the performance patch from PS4, and then they said that included 60 FPS. But everyone knows that Uncharted 4 does not have a patch that includes 60 FPS,
Yeah.
not even on PS4 Pro. So that was like really weird wording to me. So I don't understand what they're trying to say there. But regardless, I think we should be able to expect to be able to play this game in 4K 60. There's also another mode that it's called like Performance Plus, which is allowing you to play at 1080p at over 120 or like around 120 plus FPS. So if you have like supported monitors for that stuff, that's pretty cool to see. I never like imagined Uncharted at like 120 FPS. That's really cool. And then obviously this is just for the PS5 right now. The PC, I don't think they really gave too much details on that. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's still obviously being developed by another studio, and that's coming out later. This is the one that's done by Naughty Dog. So yeah, January 28th, that was the date they gave us. So that was sooner than I thought. I think, didn't we talk about like a rumor the other week that like talked about it being possibly delayed or something? So yeah, January 28th, that's
so.
like really soon here. And I think that's your birthday, right?
It is indeed, yeah. I
So
think
really
another cool thing about this as well is I did see, I don't know if it's included in the upgrade, but I know if you buy the collection digitally, you get a free ticket for the movie. So I don't know whether to take that as a good sign or a bad sign. I feel like it's almost like, hey, we know that the fans are not interested in the film, so here's a free ticket, so you don't have to pay for it. Like I almost
Yeah.
feel like that's them saying the people that are gonna pick up the game because they're like, yeah, we're gonna try and convince you by giving you a ticket included, but I kind of hope you get it with the physical edition because I'm planning to get the disc copy just to have it on my shelf, right? So,
I was gonna say I
um,
kind of want to buy that physically as well, just
yeah,
because
so
it's
I
yeah,
kind of hope I get the free ticket. Hey, it was basically knocking off, $10 off the price if I can get a free cinema ticket. So I'll take
yeah,
it.
totally.
But yeah, it's a cool little bonus for people that want to pick it up.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I definitely agree. That case does look really nice. And yeah. Anyways, and another sad news story. It Takes Two is having a trademark claim by, you would have might have guessed it, Take Two Interactive. So, yeah, this one's weird to me because they took like so long to trademark claim this. I don't know if it like this is like a court thing and that's why it took forever to go through or something. But yeah, they waited a good amount of time for this. Essentially, I don't really know too much in the details on like the legal side of things, but I think the main thing right now is they can't really fight to take ownership of this like name, right? So essentially, if they wanted to make an It Takes Two, there's nothing stopping other people to make a game called It Takes Two as well, like two. I don't know how you'd call a sequel It Takes Two two or something like that. It's kind of scummy on Take Two Interactive side, obviously, because they're picking on a small team dev, and like I feel like no one's really gonna be that confused with it between Take Two Interactive and It Takes Two. I could see it if it was like a game that was called Take Two or something like that, but a company, like no one's gonna get those two things mixed up. Regardless, it is scummy. It does make sense business wise, I guess, but I still think I'm on the side of Joseph Ferris. Well, that is bullshit, right? Um, yeah, just because it obviously affects the IP going forward. They can't really protect it, which is obviously a big deal when you're selling a game that you could potentially build that IP up going forward. So, Charlie, what were your thoughts on Take Two taking legal action against them?
Yeah, I always find these kind of things weird, right? There was a similar situation a few years back with what was Immortals called previously? Wasn't it called like
Phoenix Rising? No, it was
yeah,
Gods and
it was
Monsters,
called
and then I think
Gods and
Monster
Monsters, right? It was
Energy
Monster
didn't.
Energy, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, like, yo, you can't use the word monster, which is so dumb because
that's
it's
so
like you don't
dumb.
own the word, right? Like you own Monster Energy specifically. Like Take Two Interactive. They don't own the word two or the word take. Like that's just not
Mm-hmm.
how it works. I think it's really dumb that companies can try and get away with this stuff. I wouldn't imagine it'll go anywhere, right? Because it's such a kind of outlandish trademark. Like, it's so weird. I think it got filed a while back. I think it might have been when the game came out, but it only kind of came out into the public this week. Um,
Gotcha.
but I mean, it was funny to see the memes from Game of the Year. So
That is true.
I'll I'll take it just for the memes. But it's a really weird situation though.
Yeah, it's really sad just because obviously, they are a smaller team, Hazelight. Um, yeah, they're just kind of picking on a smaller team. Yeah, again, I could see both sides, but it's just kind of not needed. But yeah, really stupid. And yeah, that was it, Lily, for the gaming news outside of the Game Awards. So we'll move on to the Game Awards. And I guess we could start with the pre show. We'll kind of go in order. So they first started with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the developers behind Friday the 13th, which unfortunately has had, legal issues, which is why the game hasn't really had any updates in the past few years, and it's kind of killed off, I think, at this point. So, yeah, this is the next game by, I think, Gun, right? That's the name of the
Yeah.
studio. So, yep. What'd you think about that, Charlie? I know you're probably more in the know about this and have more
Yeah,
thoughts.
I'm really interested in this one. It's weird because like I've never found it clear with Friday the 13th who the developer was because you've got Gun, I think it's Gun Media, but I think they're just called Gun now, and then the guys who did the Predator game. I can't think what that studio's called. I think they both kind of worked on it. I think Gun was technically the publisher.
Okay.
But I think they do also have a dev team. So I think they're publishing this game and then Sumo are making it. I'm not entirely sure. It's not the trailer doesn't make it easy to figure out because like it's such a brief teaser, right? But I'm looking forward to it. I used to love Friday the 13th. I absolutely adored that game. It was such a shame when they had to stop making DLC for that because of obviously the lawsuit with the rights and things. And I wasn't a big fan of Predator. It can be fun at times, but overall, I don't think it was as strong or unique a game as Friday was. So I'm looking forward to see what they do with this. I haven't ever seen any of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, so I have no idea, you know, who the characters are other than the main guy with the bag on his face, right? And I don't know, like, what any of the like survivor people are. Like, I don't know any of that stuff, whereas I did with Friday the 13th. So I'm interested to see how it's going to turn out. We know it's an asymmetrical multiplayer game, so it's going to play like Friday the 13th, in some ways at least. But it seems like there's a bigger emphasis on kind of like the locations and things, based on like the film and stuff. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this turns out. It was very brief, so I don't know how soon or how close we're going to get to see more or play it ourselves. But I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah, definitely same. I don't really know much about the IP in general, but I'll wait till gameplay comes out and see how I like it. So, yeah, you'll see a theme here because there is like a lot of horror at the Game Awards this year, which is cool to see in my opinion. But yeah, and we'll move on to our probably our highlight of the show, Charlie. Homeworld 3 getting its gameplay trailer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Homeworld 3, for those that don't know, is just kind of a meme between us because if anyone watched the Gearbox showcase, they showed like a trailer for this game, Homeworld 3, now in development like 4 or 5 times. It was crazy and just not needed. Yeah, Gearbox had the best showing at E3 easily. But yeah, that got a new trailer, Q4 2022, and yeah. We'll move on to The Expanse. So this was like one of 2 like similar Telltale like games. So The Expanse is, I believe, a show off of Amazon. I don't know if it's still running on. Do you know if the show is still going on?
I think it got cancelled a few years. I'm looking it up because I don't know for sure.
But either way, Telltale is apparently making the return in the gaming industry with The Expanse, a Telltale series. So it's a very brief trailer, but obviously you know what to expect from Telltale. They're going to be taking on this IP, The Expanse, which I've heard really good things about for the people that have seen the show. It's very sci-fi oriented, gives you like Star Trek vibes. Yeah. I don't know if I'll play this just because, I don't know, Telltale games don't really interest me anymore because I'm of the belief that like gameplay is king, really. Like I used to play these games when I was younger, but like even Detroit Become Human, I almost struggled at some points when it was like very lackluster in gameplay and you're just walking around. But either way, cool announcement nonetheless. Did you find out if it's canceled or not?
So I think I might have been getting it mixed up with another sci-fi show. Basically, The Expanse has got one more season coming out. It got renewed recently. So they're doing like a final season. So maybe it was cancelled after this new season, right? But yeah, they're doing one more. I want to say this is taking one of the characters from the show and spinning it off, but I'm not entirely sure. But this is coming from half Telltale and then half Deck Nine, who obviously did Life is Strange. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this turns out. I'm guessing this is going to be the first game that we see from the new Telltale studio, right? Because it seems like Wolf Among Us 2 is still a ways off since we didn't see this here. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this turns out, and what the guys at Telltale end up doing, because I've been a bit kind of hesitant with anything with Telltale in the name just because of how that studio was created, right? After the ending of the original Telltale. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it turns out. But it's cool to see they're already getting some unique IPs in there.
Yeah, for sure. Move on to Babylon's Fall. That got a gameplay trailer. It's coming out really soon here, March 3rd, 2022. 5-year anniversary of the Switch. We were talking about this on stream. The game does look a little bit less blurry, so that was like a main complaint a lot of people had with the game. So it looks like they're kind of taking that. And it could have just been like a marketing thing. They could have just disabled the filter, like you said, Charlie. But yeah, looks cool. By Platinum Games. Did you have any detailed thoughts on that or no?
Not really, no.
Okay, we'll move on to Monster Hunter Rise. Essentially, this is just another gameplay trailer. I believe it's DLC, Sunbreak, which is still coming out, I believe, in the summer. So another look at that. Charlie and I are both waiting for the PC release of Monster Hunter Rise, which is, I think, coming out here in February. So yeah, we'll wait on that. Annapurna Interactive announced a new game. Those are, a popular indie game publisher. It's kind of a funny trailer, Thirsty Suitors, a game you wouldn't really expect from Annapurna. Yeah, it looked cool, actually. Like, you're fighting your exes. You guys said it was a lot like Scott Pilgrim, which is a game I haven't played, but yeah, I'll take your word on it. Did you want to talk about what you saw that was like familiar to Scott Pilgrim and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I mean, Scott Pilgrim is very much in the kind of world of like arcadey video games. Like that's the kind of tone it has. But the whole plot of Scott Pilgrim is to basically date this girl. He has to defeat her exes. So that's kind of the main plot thing where it's like, okay, you're going after these exes. They kind of mark the different bosses in the game. The kind of fight style and the things they were doing, the skateboarding around, is all very similar to Scott Pilgrim. Um, but I love that film and I love the manga. So, or I don't know if it classes as a manga because it's American, but it's in that kind of
Yeah.
style. But yeah, I love Scott Pilgrim. This looked pretty interesting, so I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on it because it looked pretty funny, and kind of quirky. So, and I do enjoy some of the Annapurna stuff. So, I'll definitely be keeping my eye on it for sure.
Yeah. Evil West got a new gameplay trailer. This is first person, or is it first or third?
It's third
I think it was
person.
third
Yeah.
person actually. These are the developers behind Shadow Warrior, which is a first person series. Yeah, I believe this was a game they already revealed like a bit, a bit ago, but we got to see, I believe, some snippets of gameplay, which looked pretty cool. And yeah, I guess, did you have any detailed thoughts, or do you want to move on?
Yeah, we're all good.
Cool. Have a Nice Death was a pretty cool announcement. This one did look pretty similar to Hollow Knight, but I think it had a little bit of a spin on it because it's like black and white, and it looked different in other ways. I like the color scheme, and I like the scythe. It looked pretty cool, so I'm definitely gonna keep my eyes on that, especially since it's coming out here soon in March. So, yep. And then Planet of Lana had a cinematic trailer. This is that. Wait, what? This
Yeah,
is
I
by
don't
the
even
guy. Oh, the music by The Last
music.
Guardian.
Yeah,
Okay, I saw that. I was like, "There's no way this is by the developer of The Last Guardian." I was
yeah.
like, they would have made a bigger deal than that. Yeah, Planet Alana. It looked cool. Nothing like crazy. I think we were both confused about this because they didn't really show like the gameplay. I think this was yeah, this was kind of confusing. All of us were kind of confused what this game was actually
It's
like
like the
about. But
side-scrolling one, right?
yeah, they were running in like a straight line.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was a cool trailer. Just obviously really hard to see what the game's about, but the art style looks beautiful. So yeah. Anyways, I think the big pre-show announcement, they always end the pre-show with probably like a big announcement, and then this one was Atlas related. Persona 4 Arena Ultimate is getting a port. I actually thought this was a new game just because I obviously don't really keep up to date with like Persona stuff, but apparently this game's already out and they're just announcing the port for this. So yeah, this is essentially Persona 4 Arena fighting game. I believe the platform this was originally out on was just PS2 or something like that. I could be
I think it's
wrong.
PS3.
PS3, okay. Either way, it's PlayStation because it's Persona. But yeah, the big deal here is it's coming to PC and Switch, and then obviously PS4 as well. But yeah, so I guess you did get a Persona game, another Persona game on Switch, but it's not Persona 5, haha. So yeah, people are still waiting for a Persona Royal port, which I don't know why they haven't done yet, or anything of the sort like that. Just because Persona 4 is already on. Windows now on Steam and stuff like that. People just want Atlas games to be played everywhere. Yeah, it's a shame. Do you have any thoughts on that Persona 4 announcement?
Nah,
Fighting game announcement?
I'm not a big like Persona person. I've
Yeah.
heard of Persona 4 Arena because one of my mates really enjoys the Persona series and loves fighting games. So it's cool that there's another port coming out. But honestly, when it started, I was fully expecting it to be Persona 5 on Switch because I honestly don't understand how that hasn't happened yet.
Same, that's just free money.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe one day.
Yeah, Sega just doesn't like money. It's okay. The first big announcement during during the main show was Hellblade 2. Jeff was really hyping this thing up. He was like, "This is like the next look in cinematic gaming," and I definitely think it looked really impressive. But I think it's like on the scale of Last of Us Part 2 or something. I don't know. The way he was wording it up was like making it seem like we are going to see something that we've never seen before. And don't get me wrong, it looked really good still. But yeah, I'm obviously really excited for Hellblade 2. It looks really weird. I'm interested in seeing how this ties into the story because they haven't really announced how this is going to tie into the first game. Obviously, for those that have played the first game, they know that it's kind of confusing how this is happening, a sequel. But yeah, still nonetheless very excited for it. Technology-wise, it looks impressive as hell. Yeah, constantly throughout that game, that glimpse, I was like, there's no way this is gameplay, but it was. What are your thoughts on that, Charlie?
Yeah, I think it was a really impressive trailer. I'm kind of like on the fence because I really want the gameplay to be good, because I think that was the biggest downside for me with the first one. Is Ninja Theory are really well known for their like combat, and Hellblade I think had really weak combat. I think it looked nice, but it was so basic there wasn't really any depth to it. And I get that it wasn't, the game wasn't trying to be anything like that, but I really hope that with the bigger scale and budget for this one that they really go overboard with that stuff, because that's why I really like Ninja Theory stuff. So I would like to see them go more into the combat and make it a lot more in depth. And we didn't see any of that in this. So hopefully when they next show it off, we get a good glimpse at the combat. Visually, though, it did look stunning. I think some of the animation work with the giant looked really good. And like when the fire was like burning it and stuff, like it was very impressive. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see more. I imagine it's still a while off, right? Because they only started proper development this year with Unreal 5. So yeah, I'm super excited to see how this turns out.
See, I don't know when they would have started development, because I think you can carry like Unreal Engine 4 progress to Unreal Engine 5, but
Yeah.
who knows? I'm sure they've been working on it for a few years now, but who knows in like what scale, right? Um, yeah, like you, I'm still very excited for it. Anyways, they followed this announcement with yet another big announcement. This was actually a new game announcement, kind of. We've kind of heard this by like blog posts. We covered this on the podcast a while ago. This is actually a new Star Wars title, which all of us were like guessing what it was. And at the end, it did make sense. This is a new game by Quantic Dream, obviously the developers behind games like Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human. Interestingly enough, this is going to be taking place in the High Republic era, which is really an area that we haven't really seen Star Wars go in a while. I'm for one, I'm excited for this because, I just kind of want to get away from the new trilogy and even the old trilogy in a way. I just want to see Star Wars go in different directions, which is why I've been enjoying The Mandalorian. But yeah, for those that were wondering, I know a lot of people are confused about this. This is apparently an action adventure game. So for those that are expecting to be this like a very dialogue heavy, choices matter, I'm sure you're still going to have elements of that. But apparently it's going to be an action adventure game, which if you've seen the trailer, you probably got that idea anyway. Anyway, moving on to the Star Wars fan here. What were your thoughts on Star Wars Eclipse?
Yeah, I think it looks really interesting. It did keep me guessing the whole time. I feel like we were all just like confused because the thing is you were slightly ahead. So like
Mm-hmm.
you would be
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god," and then I'd be like, and then I'd see like Lucasfilm or whatever and kind of start guessing. At first I thought it was like a Mandalorian thing, mainly
Yeah.
because, and I had to look it up now to double check. I remember there is a Star Wars event going on right now, and that each week they're announcing stuff, mainly very small things. But when
Was
that
this
was
a
shown
thing?
off, yeah. So when it was, so this isn't the thing. That's
Okay.
my main thing. Is I remember
Okay.
that it was part of this Bring Home the Bounty event, right? So I was like, okay, I knew there was a game happening in December. I thought, oh, it's probably this is the Mandalorian thing. And now that I've looked it up, apparently the game announcement's next week. So
Okay.
I'm like, are they about to announce like another big thing next week?
I doubt it.
I doubt it. I feel like it is just going to be a mobile game, something like that. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that they are announcing so much stuff at the moment. I did see Tom Henderson was saying like, he expects that in like 2 or 3 years time, once these games start coming out, we're probably going to see like a new Star Wars game every like 6 months, which is going to be crazy. But I can't wait for that because I love me some Star Wars games. But overall, I think this trailer was pretty interesting. It didn't show too much, but it gave you a good idea of kind of the scale of what the game's going for, right? Like you see a wide variety of planets and characters. They show off like what I think is a new race of aliens with the guys playing the drums. I didn't recognize them at all from any of the movies. And this is set during the High Republic era, which is the kind of new era they've established in like books and things, but it hasn't shown up in any of the movies or TV shows yet. It's set, I think, 50 years before Phantom Menace, which is the first of the prequel movies. So it's not too far off from what we've seen in the films, but I'm certainly interested to see how this turns out. It's obviously coming from Quantic Dream, so I think everyone initially is expecting it to be very much like Detroit, but from what has been said online, it seems like it is going to be a more traditional action adventure game. Obviously, there was a lot of like action and shooting and lightsaber fights in the trailer, so I hope it's something different for Quantic Dream, honestly. But yeah, I'm super excited to see what it is. I imagine we're still 3, 4 years off from that game. It seemed like it was pretty early. I think they did also say it's very early in development. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how it turns out because I love Star Wars and getting some different developers other than EA back into the IP is really cool.
Yeah, for sure. We'll breeze past this next announcement, Lost Ark. Yeah, we don't really care for this, but it's a free-to-play MMO that's coming out soon on February 11th, 2022. They should have like a new release date trailer for that. Um, we got a big game announcement from Monolith actually, and this is the fact that they're working on a Wonder Woman game. So this teaser was very minimal, but still very exciting. Obviously, just by name alone. Obviously, Monolith, the developers behind, the Middle Earth games. We haven't really seen them do anything since Shadow of War, so kind of made sense. It was about time. And yeah, looks like they're moving on to the DC universe. And yeah, no idea if this will tie into like any of the other games, obviously, because there are like Gotham Knights, and I mean, I obviously want to tie into Gotham Knights, but like if it tied into like Suicide Squad, that'd be cool. But I think it will probably be its own thing. But still very, very cool announcement. What do you think about that, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this turns out. I'm not a big Wonder Woman fan, but I love Monolith. I really enjoyed the first two Fear games, and I enjoyed Shadow of Mordor a lot, and I liked what they tried to do with Shadow War, even though I don't think the execution was quite great. But obviously, the Nemesis system is really interesting. They have said that that is going to be at the center of this game as well, so I'm interested to see how that's going to play into it. It seems like they've said it's an open world game. I imagine it's modern day. They say the story is about her kind of trying to unite both humans and then the Themyscirans. So I'm interested to see what the plot is going to be. Whether this does tie into the Arkhamverse, I don't think it will. I would like it to, but I don't know because I imagine it would be a bit of a weird development cycle, right? If the first appearance of Wonder Woman is in the Suicide Squad game before we see like her own game and stuff. I don't know how that would play out, but either way, I'm excited to see what this actually plays like. I imagine it's gonna be similar to the Batman games purely because Middle Earth was right, and that wasn't even the DC game. Like the combat was basically the Arkham games. So yeah, I'm excited about this one. I don't know how far off it is. I assume at least a few years because they didn't say a date or anything, right? But at the same time, it's been over 4 years since Shadow of War came out, so you have to imagine they've been working on it for a while. But I wonder if they've got another project they've been working on as well. I know there were rumors about a third, like Middle Earth game for a while. I don't know if that's still happening or not, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm interested to see how this turns out.
Yeah, same. Very, very exciting stuff. And speaking of exciting stuff, probably the highlight of the show for me and Charlie, I'd say, was this next announcement, and that is Alan Wake 2. I remember Jeff was introing this game as like an announcement that's been like, fans been waiting years for. And like just the start of the trailer, just seeing like the man like in the middle of the street and the different like locations change. And then, we kind of figured like very early on as Alan Wake 2 just based on like the design of the guy and obviously the effects that were happening, but then it switches to the city. That's so iconic. Yeah, I'm very, very excited. And on top of this, the fact that we're already going to get more news next summer, and the fact that they promise this is actually going to be pretty much like a survival. What is the specific genre called? It's like
Survival horror.
Survival horror, yeah. So think like Evil Within and that sort of thing, where you're actually going to have. It sounds like they're going to promise more gameplay this time around, which is very exciting for me in particular. Because that's like the only weakness I'd really give the original Alan Wake is just that there isn't much to do besides just flash your flashlight and then shoot when they're like weak and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm just very, very excited to see what they do with Alan Wake 2. The vibes you get from this game are very, very dark, which I'm totally on board with. The way that essentially Sam like kind of described this as like his dream game, and that they knew that this is the direction they're going to take Alan Wake 2, and finally they can show it off. It's a long time coming. So Charlie, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about it. As you know, I adore Alan Wake. I've wanted a sequel since I played the original like 11 years ago. At this point, it's insane. Yeah, I cannot wait for it. I think the direction they're going with it is going to be really interesting. I think you also kind of get a tease of that, right, in the trailer gameplay wise. Like he doesn't have a full on flashlight. He's got like a weird light bulb thing that he's made. Like I can already tell there's going to be multiple sections where it's just going to like break or something and you're just going to be stood in the dark and stuff like that. I do wonder if maybe they're going to go more the roots of what they wanted to do originally with Alan Wake, because a lot of people may not know, but originally Alan Wake was like an open world survival horror game. That's what it was originally. And you would basically go around Bright Falls and the surrounding area, like gathering supplies and stuff during the day, and then you would go out and basically try and do your missions at the night. That's when you'd have to do stuff.
That's cool.
And there's kind of remnants of that in the final game. Like they had the driving mechanics. They're very rarely used in the game, but they are still like there. But they ended up scaling the game down a lot and changing it. A lot of people think because of the switch with Resident Evil towards a more action focus at the time, and they thought that would appeal more to people, so they took that kind of turn. But I'm really interested to see if this is going to be like open world. They kind of started going towards that direction with Control, right, with the Metroidvania aspect. So I mean, they do also show here, you see Bright Falls. I think you also see New York, which is where Alan Wake lives in the first game. So yeah, I'm super excited to see how this turns out. If it's a big open world to explore, taking down the darkness and stuff, like, yeah, I'm super on board. I can't wait to see more. I just hope we don't have to wait too long on that 2023 date before we get our hands on it. Hopefully it's early in the year, but who knows. I'm super excited either way.
Yeah, same here. This is definitely my highlight of the show. Just, I really liked the first game. I streamed it. Charlie saw that. Yeah, just the fact that it's going to be darker, it's going to probably have more gameplay to it, and obviously just to see how Control and everything like seeing Alan Wake in that kind of sense would be amazing. Yeah, just sign me up. I'm very, very excited. Anyways, we got some Sonic announcements. I guess I'll just bundle these two together. They showed off a new trailer for the movie, which looked pretty cool. We finally got to see Knuckles. So yeah, people are waiting to hear the voice of that. The movie's out really soon, April 8th, 2022, so that's really exciting. And then they also announced Sonic Frontiers, which I know, Charlie, you had mixed thoughts on. It's essentially like a very, very early tease, but it's like a very realistic world with a cartoony Sonic. People obviously made the ties to Breath of the Wild because it does look like Breath of the Wild. There's so much open space. Yeah, I for one really can't judge it until we see gameplay and how it works, but I will say the contrast is kind of weird and jarring, the fact that you have a realistic world and you have a cartoony Sonic. But yeah, I don't know. I gotta wait until see gameplay because they really didn't show too much. But yeah, Charlie, what were your thoughts on both of those?
Yeah, I mean, the film looked cool. I enjoyed the first one for what it was, so I'll definitely be going to see this. I'm glad they've got like the original voice actor back for Tails and stuff. Knuckles with Idris Elba, I mean, that sold me on the film as soon as they announced that, because it's such a weird casting, but honestly, it seemed alright in the trailer. So, but yeah, it looked pretty fun and enjoyable, so I'll definitely be giving that a watch. As for Frontiers, as you kind of touched on, I'm kind of mixed on it. When I first heard the rumor a while back that it was going to be going kind of open world, I was kind of iffy on it. Because I don't know, like Sonic for me has really struggled to kind of get its footing in a long time. I really enjoyed Sonic Generations on PS3. Like, I think that game was probably the last good mainline Sonic game. They've had a few since then, like on DS, that weren't that great, and then they did obviously Forces a few years back, and I never played that one myself, but I remember seeing it and people being very disappointed in that one. I know people absolutely adore Mania, but that isn't done by Team Sonic, the main team. That was done by a small studio that actually was a fan studio originally, before being hired by Sega. So I'm interested to see how it turns out, but I'm not like getting excited for it because I just don't see this being great. If maybe it'll be decent, but I don't know. It just didn't look that interesting to me. I don't like the clashing visuals with the more realistic world with Sonic. It just reminds me of like Sonic 06, which obviously most people know was an absolute disaster of a game. So I would much rather they made the world more cartoony and in line with his design, but we'll just have to wait and see. Once I see some more gameplay, maybe I'll be on board, but for now it looked kind of eh.
Yeah, same. Anyways, I guess we'll breeze past a few of these announcements here because there's nothing really too big and special about them. They showed off a new gameplay trailer for Horizon Forbidden West. It was very short, just showcased some of the new abilities. I think I saw some stealth elements in there, and some of the creatures did look cool. I know they showed like a snake at the end. So yeah, I definitely think that's pretty cool. The game's gonna be obviously coming out here in like a little over 2 months, so not long until we get our hands on it. Final Fantasy VII Intergrade. Finally, this is long awaited. The PC announcement was made. We've known it's coming to PC ever since, obviously. Well, we kind of knew it since the beginning because it was only like a 1-year deal with PlayStation. Yeah, it's actually coming out next week. So I guess I lied when I said that this week was the last week we got new games coming out. But yeah, it's going to be tied to the Epic Game Store. So yeah, you sadly have to get it through their own launcher. It's like $70, I believe, on PC, which is unheard of really for PC games. So I don't know how that's going to go over well. But yeah, nonetheless, it's very exciting that that's out next week. And then alongside this, they showed off a new trailer for Destiny 2 Witch Queen. Just more gameplay footage, right? Kind of tied that into the, Destiny 2 event that I think they're doing right now for Bungie's 30th anniversary, I believe. So very cool stuff. So any of those, you want to talk about, give your thoughts on, feel free to
Not
try.
really. I mean, we can't like Horizon, right? It's just more trailers. I don't really need to see more of that. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy's coming to PC. I think the price is a bit crazy. I know also Forspoken is the same price on PC as well. Whether they change that, because there has been a lot of backlash, we'll see. But yeah, I'm interested to see how that turns out pricing wise. Honestly,
Yeah, it's because these PS5 games are coming to PC, and yeah.
yeah, it's kind of it's a weird choice, especially considering PC games are normally a bit cheaper anyway. They're not usually the same price. Destiny again, another trailer, cool. I didn't really need to see another one, so yeah.
Yeah, this next one, new announcement did piss off Josh Anderson. We were talking in a VC when this all went down. Yeah, Splitterhead was revealed. This is a new game from the Silent Hill director. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, Kiichiro Toyama. Essentially, they started the trailer off with like, the guy that directed Silent Hill, and they bolded it, and it like made it seem like this is going to be a new installment. I had to say from the very beginning, I'm like, you gotta hold on because like it said like from the creator, right? So I was like, it probably isn't gonna be anything that's like Silent Hill related, and it wasn't. The game still looked really cool. It had like some parasite elements where like these creatures were like coming out of the mouth. Very disturbing images. But nonetheless, the game did look pretty cool. Just not Silent Hill like everyone wanted it to be. So kind of fucked up to include that there, but that's obviously the main drive behind this game is because it is from the original director, right? So just it is what it is. And yeah, did you have any thoughts on that, Charlie?
It looked interesting. I like Josh was freaking out about it, and I think if you
Yeah,
watch back like any of the stream, whenever Josh starts freaking out, you just hear me go, "Josh, please be quiet," because he was like blowing up our ears the whole time.
that's
But no,
funny.
it was funny. Um, like they knew what they were doing, right? Like bolding Silent Hill in it, they knew people would read that first and start freaking out. But they do immediately show that Bokeh Game Studio logo after, so then you go, okay, cool. It's not Kojima, it's not Konami, so it's something new. It looked pretty interesting. Whether it's something I'll play, I'm not sure. But it looked odd and creepy, so it seems to have that Silent Hill vibe.
Yeah. Night Until was a new game that was revealed. This is essentially like a survival crafting game. I think both of you and I really don't care for this.
Yeah.
It did look kind of cool, but yeah, just got to see more for that. The Lord of the Rings got a new trailer. The Lord of the Rings game, obviously Golem. Do you have any thoughts on this? Because I honestly don't really care for the Lord of the Rings. So
See, I'm interested to see how this game turns out, but that trailer was so like brief. Like I don't really know what was going on there. They've shown little
yeah,
glimpses of gameplay, and I'm interested to see how it turns out because it is meant to be more based on the books. And I really enjoy Lord of the Rings. But yeah, we'll see how that one turns out. It was very brief. It didn't really show too much. So
yeah, for sure. Somerville, a game I'm really excited for because it's from the creator of Limbo, and inside one of the co-creators. Yeah, there was no release date, but just obviously a reminder that the game's coming out. Showed some new footage off. If you like Limbo and Inside any of those kind of games like that, this is straight up your alley. So yeah, definitely really cool there. And then Cuphead finally got a DLC announcement, release date announcement for the DLC. So yeah, it's been really weird because obviously Cuphead's been a game that's been out for years, and then they announced this DLC like maybe like a year after the game came out, or maybe even a little bit later than that. But it's still been like years since they announced the DLC, and like we still don't even have a date for it. So it's nice to finally get closure on that, and that's coming out soon. I get why, because they kind of handcraft those bosses, right? Cuphead's a very draining game to develop, I imagine, just because of the way it's made. But still very, very cool. So, do you have any thoughts on that, Charlie?
Yeah, I honestly I thought this had come out because it's been that long, right? Like
So long, right?
we
Yeah.
were watching that initial trailer. I don't know if you'd gone to get food or a drink or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um and me and Josh were sat there and I was like, I honestly don't know if this is something new or if like this is already out. Because like I just looked up the release date for Cuphead. It's over 4 years ago. Like, that's crazy to me. It came out before I went to uni. Uh, like I got a whole degree in the time that game came out, and this got announced, and this isn't out yet. But I totally get it, right? Like this is a very difficult game and time-consuming game to make with all the animation and stuff. So, yeah, I'll probably be giving this a go. I really enjoyed Cuphead, so yeah, I'm probably gonna give this a go. It's just crazy to me that it's been so.
No,
It'll
no.
have been nearly 5 years by the time this comes out. Like, that's
I know.
insane.
It is insane. Warhammer Vermintide 2 got a gameplay trailer. I swear there's always like a Warhammer game coming out. You made a joke on stream. It was like they must have the IP sold for like very cheap because like anyone and their mother can like make a game off of
Yeah.
Warhammer. And that seems true because like every Game Awards it makes an appearance. You know the series more than me, so if you want to talk about what was announced or anything like that.
Yeah, it
Um,
was just a DLC. Vermintide 2 is kind of like Left 4 Dead, set in one of the Warhammer universes with like the rat people. I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, it was just like a new character. I think he's actually out or he's coming out very soon. Basically just a new class that you can play as. No new like big content. This is the guys that are doing the Warhammer 40k Darktide game, which is the more futuristic version of Warhammer with like Left 4 Dead elements and more guns rather than melee weapons. And I'm super looking forward to that one. They showed that off. I think it was last Game Awards. I think was when they
I
first
think it
showed that off.
was.
And then they had gameplay at Summer Game Fest, and I actually really liked the look of that one. But that did get delayed, so I'm looking forward to that.
Do you
But
want to
yeah,
talk about Space Marine 2 as well while you're at it?
yeah, I might as well talk about it whilst we're here. So Warhammer 40k, Space Marine was a game that came out, I think, like 2011. So I think like 10 years ago at this point. Most people really like that game. It's like a hack and slash shooter, where you play as a Space Marine from the Warhammer 40k universe. But it was basically like a cult classic. I don't know if it sold really well, but I know like a lot of fans of Warhammer really enjoy that game. One of my mates absolutely adores Warhammer, so he was super excited about this. But yeah, when it started, I was like, oh, I think it's Space Marines, but I didn't even click that it would be a sequel because it's been so many years, right? And then the trailer ends with Space Marine 2, so that was a really cool reveal. I imagine it's still a ways off. It seems to have some good talent behind it. The ex-head of like he used to work at id. I think he also worked at Avalanche. He worked on like Rage and Doom and stuff. He seems to be one of the heads behind this game, so yeah, I'm excited to see how that one turns out for sure.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Yeah. Anyways, Chia got a gameplay trailer to Chia, whatever you want to call it. This was actually at like a state of play a few months ago. It's the game that looks like Breath of the Wild, essentially. It looks like a mix of games because they have like Last of Us Part 2 elements in there with the guitar, and then I think at one point you can like change the animals or objects, which is very like wild inspired. So yeah, a bunch of mix of stuff. The game does look really, really cool though. They didn't really have anything concrete besides just more footage, right? Because there's no release date, so just a reminder that that game exists. And yeah. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League got a gameplay trailer. This was the one that probably Charlie and I were like looking forward to. That was like confirmed going in, I'd say. Just obviously because Rocksteady, we've been waiting for their next game for years now, and yeah, finally that's coming out next year. No updates on the release date, but the gameplay did kind of look really, really cool. We were talking about how I think like King Shark kind of plays like Hulk from one of the old like PS3 games, like what is it, Hulk Unleashed or Hulk Unleashed
Ultimate
Ultimate Hulk?
Destruction.
Yeah, something like that. So that looked really, really cool. And the other characters obviously played very differently. It's going to be interesting, obviously, to see how Rocksteady tackles co-op. But so far from the footage, it looks really, really fun. And yeah, what were your thoughts on that, Charlie?
Yeah, I think it looked really good. I can see people not being so excited for this one after seeing the gameplay because co-op and that kind of thing is going to turn some people off on this. But I think it all looked really fluid. The way like Captain Boomerang was moving around and stuff, I think looked really good. I think the shooting looked a little bit off, but I mean it's one of those things you kind of have to play it to see how that's going to be. But yeah, King Shark and Captain Boomerang stood out to me the most. They looked really fun. But obviously I'm going into this more for the story. Like I absolutely adore the Arkham games, and I really want to see what's going on next in that universe. But the gameplay does also look fun, so that's always going to be a big bonus, right? But yeah, I'm excited about it. Shame we didn't get a date, but at the same time, I imagine this is coming out after Gotham Knights, so I always assumed when they first announced this that it would be end of 2022. So, yeah, I'm excited to see more of it. To be honest, I'd like to see like an extended like gameplay demo would be nice. We don't really get those anymore, to be honest. So
I know,
it'd be
it's
nice.
a shame. Yeah, I definitely agree. Those give you like the best sort of sense of how you're gonna be playing it. But yeah, we'll move on. Forspoken got a gameplay trailer, and there's nothing really here. I know Charlie's already kind of given his thoughts on this game. He's not really interested in it, and there wasn't really much to talk about. Saints Row got another gameplay trailer, kind of same thing. This game recently got delayed, so it's just showing off more of the game, and more footage. Very really cool, I guess. But we'll move on. Fall Guys has a new collaboration with The Nightmare Before Christmas, so if you are into Fall Guys, still playing that. I know some people still play that. Yeah, there you go. Dune Spice Wars. This is like a strategy game they announced. Yeah, looked pretty cool. Yeah, nothing really to talk about on that front, I guess, but still cool, I guess. Tiny Tina Wonderland's got a new story trailer. I think this game's coming out soon, so yeah, they had like Ashley Blurch and whoever the other guy that's from Canada. I know because Jeff always emphasizes that. Yeah, cool stuff there. I'm not really a Borderlands person, but teach their own. Among Us got a VR version. Yeah, I initially kind of like questioned why this was a thing, but you reminded me that this is like a popular mod on like VR chat, so obviously it makes sense to do like a native version of that. And it's going to come out to, I believe it said PlayStation VR and Meta Quest 2, which Oculus Quest 2, obviously. So yeah. Did they give it a release date? I don't think so. They just said
No,
next year or something.
I don't think they even gave it a year, but I assume next year, right?
Yeah. It's weird because you'd think it wouldn't take that long to happen, but like even like a basic port of Among Us to like PlayStation like only just recently happened, I think.
Yeah.
They're a small studio, obviously, though. They showed off that one Dokev game, the anime kid game, I guess is the best way to describe it. Still very confused about this game. We were like talking about this on the stream. I saw the memes online. People were comparing this to like those kids, those like kid shows that would have like weird animations or something like that.
Yeah.
No, the game looks cool, but it's just weird to me. I don't know. It's not my vibe, I guess, is the best way to put it. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I thought it looked cool from the original trailer. I did not care about this because it was just a weird music video to that song that was in the last trailer that was so overplayed. So I was like, yeah, I really do not care. But yeah, I mean, visually it looks interesting. I don't know if it's something I'll ever play, but yeah, to each their own.
Yeah, exactly. Steel Rising got a cinematic trailer. I honestly don't really remember much of this game.
I do not either.
So we'll move on. I know this game, Metal Hellslinger. So this is actually like a mix of Doom / rhythm, which like really cool. I think this game looks pretty cool just for the fact that when you think of rhythm games, they kind of have you standing still and you're kind of like, interacting with stuff that comes your way, which makes sense given the genre. But this game kind of like flips it on its own. Like you're going through like these like handcrafted levels, but it's still like going to the beat. It kind of reminds me of what's that one game, Crypt of the Necrodancer or something like that, but like in 3D almost. Obviously that's just like you can move on your own, but it's cool to see the rhythm genre, I guess you could say, get like a new spin on it. So I thought that was cool. I do think they're really ripping off Doom though, because like there was like one part where like the enemy was like stunned and it was like highlighted the same exact way. I'm like, how are you not getting sued for this stuff? But okay. But still looks pretty cool. Do you have any thoughts on that as like a big rhythm fan?
It looked interesting. I wasn't a big fan of like the music in it because it was
It's
very
rock,
metal. Like
metal
I,
and rock.
I,
Yeah,
I really like Doom soundtrack, but I like it because there's not a ton of vocals. I'm not a big fan of like the vocals in metal music.
like screaming
Um,
and stuff.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of that stuff. I'm also not a fan of, like you said, it seems to be really ripping off Doom. It's also really ripping off BPM, which is bullets per minute, which is a very Doom esque rhythm shooter, which came out this year, last year. It's got the exact same like HUD for how you track when to shoot and stuff. Like I think I said it on the stream. I thought it was the same devs. I've just looked it up. It's not. So clearly they're just kind of trying to rip off that game, which kind of sucks. Because BPM was really cool, but I don't think it got enough press. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing how this turns out. But honestly, I'd suggest people just go play BPM because that's really good and it's already out and you can go play it right now. So
Yeah. Not much thoughts on that. So move on. Star Trek Resurgence got a reveal trailer. This is like from former Telltale developers, so this is like the second kind of game I was teasing. Yeah, looks more to like they showed off gameplay. It looked pretty cool. Yeah, just if you're into Star Trek, this is gonna be like one of those games where you get another cool little small story. If you're into like narrative focused games, and this is coming out in spring of 2022, which is kind of surprising because that's very very soon. So yeah. Rumbleverse got a gameplay trailer. This is a free-to-play game actually being developed by Iron Galaxy, which is a studio that's really known for like ports and remasters like that, porting games. So yeah, this game looked pretty cool. I never watched the gameplay reveal. I know they promised that on Friday. I haven't looked that up yet, but yeah, free-to-play. I think it's like 40 players. The whole twist on this one is that it's melee focused. So yeah, you're just gonna be using items in your environment or like your hands. To obviously be the last one standing, and then I know that they gave a date later on. It was like February 8th, but they are doing like tests. I know they already had one. Like some people are even playing yesterday or something like that. So yeah, do you have any thoughts on Rumbleverse, Charlie?
yeah, it looked kind of interesting. I did go ahead and watch the gameplay earlier today, because I completely forgot about it. And then when I was looking up this stuff earlier, I decided to check it out, and it looks pretty fun to be honest. I'm probably gonna pay for that early access. I think you pay like 15 quid and or $15, sorry, and you get that like a few weeks early or something. But yeah, it looks pretty fun. It's coming to Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. I think it's being published by Epic as well, which is interesting. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this one turns out. I like the more unique takes on Battle Royale, right? Like there isn't really that many melee combat, or at least just fun, silly ones. It reminded me a lot of like if Smash was a battle royale. To be honest, the way you're knocking people out of like the zone and stuff. It reminded me a lot of that. So yeah, I'm interested to get my hands on it because it did look like a blast. To be honest.
Yeah, it's one of those games you kind of gotta get your hands on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that gameplay trailer. I'll look at it later. But yeah, A Plague Tale 2, Requiem. I guess if you want to be formal, that got a new trailer. Just essentially showed off like some gameplay snippets in some of the new locales. It looks really good. I mean, I started like the first game on PS Plus a few months back, and the visuals definitely look very very good in this game. And yeah, I guess yeah. Did you ever finish A Plague Tale, Charlie?
I didn't. I do need to go back and play it, but this did look great, so I'm definitely going to be playing it before this comes out, since this will be on Game Pass day one, I believe. So, yeah, I'll definitely be giving this one a go, but I do need to play the first one.
Likewise. Dying Light 2 got a cinematic trailer. Nothing really to say here. It's just, cinematic trailer. Reminder that the game's coming out in February. Crossfire X got some new gameplay showing off more of like the single player, which I believe is being developed by Remedy, so I guess their second game of the show. Yeah, that's coming out soon as well, February 10th. Bloodhunt got another trailer. Obviously, this is the free-to-play game from the series of Vampire the Masquerade. I know Charlie's already played this in the past. I played like the tutorial, if you even want to call it playing the game. And yeah, just another reminder that the game is coming out in spring. GTFO got a surprise launch of 1.0. So that's really, really cool. They literally dropped it like at the show. Yeah, we were talking about this during the stream, and it's just one of those games that you got to have a lot of friends to play. I never even actually tried the game, but I know you have tried it, Charlie. There's no really idea on what 1.0 really means. They don't really say what they're like releasing. I don't even know if they were releasing anything, but
I
I
did.
guess cool.
I did look up some of the stuff afterwards. I think they're adding in like some new maps and like
Okay.
cosmetics and stuff to unlock. They have also got bots now, so you can, if you've got less people, go in with bots, and they'll kind of be helpful, I guess. But they do say obviously it's not going to be as useful as talking to a real person. And they have also got checkpoints. So if you want
Oh.
to turn checkpoints on, you can. Which I think is good because I would honestly not like to restart those levels because they can be a real pain.
Mm.
I think me and my mates have said we're going to give it another go soon because of all the 1.0 stuff. Because I do think the game's cool. I do want to be able to play more of it. It's very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right on. That's really good changes. I might give it a shot as well now. Anyways, they showed off the Halo TV show trailer. They didn't really show off too much of this. They just showed off some of the locales, and they gave you like a close up of Master Chief, but we didn't get to hear the voice, so we don't know if it's the same one yet. Um, do you have any thoughts on that trailer or no?
I think it could be really cool. I think like the armor designs looked really good. I think Master Chief's design looks spot on. I hope they've got the same voice for Chief because it just won't work if it's somebody else. Like I know the actor behind the suit they already like cast. I can't think of his name right now, but he's been in a couple other like TV shows. But they cast him because obviously he's a really tall guy that's pretty strong and hench, so he fits the role, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
don't think his voice is gonna work. So, and because he's always gonna wear the helmet, you're never gonna see his face, right? At least if they're gonna stay true to the games.
Imagine if they don't, they
Um,
pull a Mandalorian.
yeah, I know that they've shown a shot in like a teaser of him like taking off or putting on the helmet from the back, but they never show his face. So hopefully they won't. Um, but yeah, I do hope it's the same voice actor. Halsey looked kind of weird because she's meant to be an older lady, but she looked quite young in the trailer, so I
Wait,
don't really know what's
Halsey's
going
in
on
this?
there. I think you're thinking
Oh,
of
you
something.
mean the character?
The
Yeah, I thought I was
character,
thinking of
yeah,
like the fucking yeah, the
the
artist. I
singer
was
or
like,
whatever
what?
she is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So her character is quite old in the games, so she looked quite young in the show, so I don't really know what's going on there. But yeah, I do hope it's good. It's on like Paramount Plus, which I'm not subscribing to for this. Yeah, it's not even in the UK, I don't think. So, I mean, I'm probably just gonna find a way to watch it online. But I'm interested to see how it turns out.
Right on, right on. Elden Ring got a story trailer. I know Charlie didn't watch this because he doesn't care to see anything before he plays the game, if he even play the game. Uh, yeah, I mean, I saw it, but it's just essentially like the opening cutscene, right? I'm glad they didn't show off any more gameplay. People that watched like the podcast from like last week know that I've already kind of been sold on the game. I don't want to see any more. I even like didn't play the playtest anymore because like I already know I'm gonna be there day one at 9 p.m. when the game comes out. So yeah, really really cool to see that Jeff got Elden Ring back. I'm sure that made a lot of people happy. Anyways, we move on. Synced Off Planet got showed off. This is honestly a game I don't really remember much from the show. Yeah, just another shooter, I guess. It's like labeled a companion shooter, so I don't even know if you remember this, Charlie, if you do or not.
Not really. I remember it being some kind of futuristic thing, but that's about it.
All right, we'll move on. Arc Raiders, I remember this game. This game had like weird music with it, but the game did look kind of cool. Apparently, it's a free-to-play co-op shooter. I don't remember them saying that at the show, so I'm glad, you know, they should have probably mentioned that at the show. It did look really, really cool. I think, did you mention this from a while ago that this was like the creators at DICE, right? Or something like that
Yeah,
behind Battlefield
so
and Stars.
when Patrick Sutherland left EA, a lot of people, like senior people from DICE, did leave, like after Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, and they joined this studio, Embark, which was founded a few years back. It's a very big team. They are working on multiple projects. I think I said on the stream, but like they're meant to be working on some first person like battle royale looking game, which looked visually very good. I mean, this visually looked great as well. Gameplay looked interesting, but it didn't really show kind of what you're doing, whether you're going on missions, if you're in like an open world. Like it wasn't very clear. It's free to play, so I imagine it's like going on missions and stuff, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it was an interesting trailer. Like you said, it was a very odd song choice. I really liked the song. I thought it was a really cool like remix of Dancing on My Own, but
Same.
I don't know if it worked too well with the trailer. But yeah, it looks interesting. It's like next summer, right? So I'm excited to see more of that because I really want more stuff from the old DICE developers because I enjoy Battlefield, but a lot of those people have left now. It'll be interesting to see what those guys can do in a more kind of free environment where they don't have to make Battlefield. So
Yeah, definitely. I think it looks cool. I think the gameplay looked pretty fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that coming out. Anyways, in typical Jeff Keighley fashion, he had to end with some celebrities, and he ended with the Matrix Awakens, which is something kind of new already going in. This is like an Unreal Engine 5 tech demo, only available on next gen. Yeah, he had Keanu Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss on, and essentially just showed it off and said it was out now. So yeah, I did playing this. I thought it was very impressive. Kind of crazy. It almost like I like the parts where you're able to actually play quote unquote player, just kind of like locking on. But it did look really, really impressive. Just kind of crazy graphically, and like the explosive, like it literally felt like real life. Like it literally looked like what GTA will look like in like 15, 20 years, or maybe not even that far away, because technology always moves fast. But yeah, I thought it was pretty impressive. The frame rate was all over the place, but that's obviously because it is so technically impressive in terms of graphics and all that. But yeah, Charlie, what'd you think about that? Because I know you played it as well.
Yeah, it was a pretty impressive demo. I do, like you said, it did have some frame rate issues. I wasn't a big fan of all like the film grain on it, but I get it. It's trying to look like the Matrix, so they put filters like that on there. But yeah, going around the city after you finish that initial like tech demo bit is really crazy. Being able to just fly around and just see all the AI and stuff running around the city and things, like it's really well done. It gives you a good sense of the scale that devs can go to in such a short time. Like they didn't say the exact time frame it took them to make this, but it sounded like it was pretty quick that they put all this together using the tools that Unreal Engine 5 has. But yeah, I'd love to see more of this kind of stuff. I know Jeff tweeted about this, but like he really wants to be able to do some of these more of these like, here's the game, go play it now, try out the demo yourself kind of announcements. And he really wants to do a lot more kind of cloud-based stuff, which I think would be really cool. Being able to play a teaser rather than just watching it, I think is a really cool idea, and this was kind of a step in that direction. I think Matrix obviously works for that with the themes of the films and stuff. So yeah, it was a really impressive demo. It kind of just made me want an actual Matrix game though, because some of those on PS2 were great. So I would love to see them do a new Matrix game, to be honest. But yeah, it was a really impressive demo, and it was a cool way to end the show as well.
Yeah, agreed. Anyways, we'll move on about the winners. I don't know where we should start. Do you want to start with Game of the Year, or do you want to like lead up to Game of the Year? I guess we could start from the very beginning with Best Debut Indie.
I mean, we could just start with Game of the Year. I mean, people are probably going to know, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we'll start with Game of the Year. So, obviously, I won't go through the nominees. We'll be here for ages if I do. So, the winner was It Takes Two. Yeah, I thought it was really well deserved. Honestly, this year was kind of weird. There were like a lot of B games. So, I thought that It Takes Two was probably the best one there. It was the one that surprised me the most, especially given the fact that it was like 3 years after A Way Out. And then obviously it was nice to get Joseph Harris on stage and to talk again. He didn't say anything crazy. I mean, he did mention the Oscars, which was a plus. But yeah, I thought it was well deserved. What'd you think, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, It Takes Two is the game I did vote for this year. I think it might be potentially the first year that the game I voted for actually won, because it's very rare that the one I vote for wins. But yeah, I was shocked.
You didn't vote for Overwatch in 2016?
Nah, yeah, I did. Yeah, you're right. I definitely voted for Overwatch. But yeah, no, It Takes Two, I'm so glad it got it. Like, it's definitely up there as my game of the year from those nominations they had. And it was great to see the recognition that Joseph gets for that game, because honestly, it's really well done. As like you said, in such a short time frame, right? But yeah, so I'm really glad that won. Overall, I think, to be honest, most of the stuff I voted for did all right, so I'm kind of glad.
Yeah. It's nice to see also Neil Druckmann pass the award down, because he was the winner of last year, right? I want to see that more going forward. They had I know they had Christopher Nolan last year, and then the year before that they had both, the Fast and Furious stars come up. So very, very happy they went back to developers. That's how it should be. And yeah. Anyways, we'll go down to Best Game Direction. Deathloop won this. I think this was no surprise. just because, I don't know, everyone was kind of crowning Deathloop for, its obviously choice in terms of having like these 4 different sections and being able to go at different time periods of the day and how that would change what you'd see and how you could play and move about. So I thought that was cool, despite, people having very different thoughts on, whether or not, Deathloop is a crazy game or not. What'd you think about that, Charlie?
Yeah, I think it was a good choice. I voted for It Takes Two personally, but I mean that one game of the year, so I'm not really going to complain. But yeah, I think it does some really cool stuff, and it had a really good vision behind it. So yeah, definitely a worthy choice.
Yeah. Best narrative, I also know you're very happy with this one, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. So I guess you can give your thoughts since you played this.
Yeah, again, same one I voted for. Definitely one of the best stories I played this year, hands down. Like it's really well written. I think it's got a really fun story, a lot of heart. And yeah, it was really good. I'm glad that it got some recognition here because I was a bit worried going in that it wouldn't do too hot, mainly because the reviews were pretty decent, right? But there was nothing kind of mind blowing from a lot of the press, so I thought that they'd probably vote for something else. But yeah, I'm glad that it won that one.
Yep, we'll move on to best art direction. Deathloop won this one. I honestly saw this going to any of these because I could see a case being made for any of these games. But Deathloop did win. Makes sense. Obviously, it has a really really cool style to it. That kind of 70s vibe. So yeah, I thought that was well deserved. What about you, Charlie?
Yeah, I would say this is a good choice. I think this. I'm not sure if I did vote for Deathloop on this one. I can't remember.
I voted for Kane on this one. I know that.
Yeah, I can't remember if I went with Kana or Deathloop. It was one of the two. But either way, like, I totally get this one. It makes a lot of sense. So.
Best score in music went to Nier Replicant. I think I called this on the predictions just because
yeah, you did, yeah.
Nier is like obviously a series that everyone I know, like I know someone in college. I was like literally studying for finals last week. He had like a Nier sticker on his bag, and he's talking about how good the soundtrack was. Like whenever someone mentions Nier, they always mention the soundtrack. Yeah, I think I've personally voted for Cyberpunk because I really liked the score in that game. But obviously, Nier probably deserved it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I haven't heard any of the Nier Replicant soundtrack, so I can't say what it's like. I think I said when we were predicting it, like Guardians, I think is what I voted for and what I thought might get it. Mainly because my thing with Nier is I know a lot of the tracks from Automata because a lot of that stuff is really popular, but I haven't heard a single track from Replicant, so I didn't know how popular it actually was, but clearly people really liked it, so...
Best art design with the Forza Horizon 5. I actually didn't mention this, but I played like an extra hour of Forza Horizon 5 this week. But yeah, best art design went to that. I think that's fine. Honestly, best art design, I could have saw that going either way. I thought all these games that I played so far, because I played 4 of the... Actually, I played all 5 of these games, and I thought they were all fine. Nothing really stood out. I did personally vote for Village, but yeah, I could see that going either way. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what would win this one because I mean it's one of those categories that the audio design could be so different in all of these games, right? Because Forza's mainly you're in a car, so you kind of have to get the sound of all those vehicles and stuff right. But yeah, totally makes sense on that one.
Best performance went to Maggie Robertson as Lady Demetrius, or whatever you want to call her, tall lady for Village. Thought that was cool. Honestly, this was like a weird year for performances. Yeah, I thought it was fine. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really any standout ones for me when I was voting. I honestly, I'm not surprised she won, but it's such a weird one, right? Because she's not in the game a whole lot. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see that it won. Clearly, it was done. I mean, this, if anything, this is clearly
this
done
was the
because
fan vote
the fan one. Like, they were yeah, people have, crazily voted for her. We have to give it to her, right? So.
Yeah. Games for Impact, Life is Strange: True Colors won. I don't think we have any thoughts on this because we haven't played any of the games here. I thought it was cool, I guess. I don't really have a say in that. Best ongoing game went to Final Fantasy XIV Online. I think this one was well deserved just because obviously they just first of all had like a recent update that was huge for the game, as well as just whenever I hear people mention this game, they always mention how it's kind of like shafted at the Game Awards in the past few years, and that it still has been getting really really good updates. So nice to see it finally get recognized. I think you actually voted for this one, right?
Yeah.
And we can move on, I guess, to best indie game. We both voted for Kana. It got Kana. I think we both think that's well deserved. It's also the only game we really played on this list. I've tried like a bit of 12 Minutes and Loop Hero, but none of those really clicked for me. Best debut indie went to Kana. Yeah, I also thought this was pretty good. We both really didn't click with Valheim, and we haven't played any of the other ones. We could skip best mobile game. I guess I went to Genshin Impact, or Genshin Impact if you want to say. Best community support went to Final Fantasy XIV Online as well. I also thought this was fine. Actually, I think this is probably the award it probably deserved the most, just because I feel like they have like a really close connection to their audience. So that's really, really cool to see. Any thoughts on that, Charlie?
No, it's the same one I voted for. Like, I think it was the obvious choice for both of the categories that it won.
You also called best VR AR game because that went to Resi 4. Yeah, obviously just because of the name alone, right? Everyone, like, Resident 4 is known as like one of the best games of all time. So the fact that that had like a VR version, of course, already kind of swayed it. Did kind of suck that, you know, the other like native VR games like Lone Echo 2 and stuff weren't really recognized, but it's kind of understandable, right? I guess. But yeah, innovation, accessibility. Forza Horizon 5 won this. I liked how they actually like had someone come up on stage for this award. I think they did last year with like Last of Us Part 2, but obviously it was like for like the video call, so it's like hard to like really get the focus on that. But it's cool to see them recognize that. Yeah, I think both of us really don't know too much about accessibility because obviously we don't really use those options because we don't need to, but it's nice to see that recognized on stage. And really, really cool to see. Best action game went to Returnal. I personally voted for this one. I thought this one was probably the award it deserved the most, and it did win. So I thought that was well deserved. What'd you think, Charlie?
Yeah, I think that one makes a lot of sense. I can't remember what I voted for on this one. I think I voted Deathloop. But yeah,
I think you did too. Yeah.
But yeah, I completely understand Returnal's one. That I would if it would have been a tough choice between Deathloop and Returnal for me. So
yeah. Definitely agree. It was between those two. Best action adventure game went to Metro Dread. I thought this one and Village were like up there because I think both of those games had really, really good level design and puzzles. But I think Metro Dread definitely took the cake. Just reading that traverse and puzzle solving was, you know, Metroid's highlight. It's a Metroidvania after all. And Resident Evil Village, it is cool, but it's, you know, very linear focused. It's not like, you know, very intricate, I guess, at all. So definitely think that's well deserved. I'm glad Metroid Dread won that. If it deserved to win anything, it should have won Best Action Adventure. So well deserved. Best RPG. For once this year, I actually played 3 of these, and I'm like 10 hours in at least on all 3. I beat Cyberpunk, 10 hours into SMT5, and I'm like 15 hours into Tales of Arise. I knew Tales of Arise was going to win this. I personally would put SMT5 on here, but that's just because I'm an SMT5 fanboy. Tales of Arise is obviously like the mainstream game, and it's, I mean, mainstream game that's popular or that like reviewed well, because obviously Cyberpunk got review bombed. I could see it going to any of these, but yeah, it was cool. What'd you think about Best RPG? Did you play any of these? I don't think you have.
well, I played Cyberpunk, right? So
Oh, that's right, you did.
I think that was the one I voted for because it was the only one there that I was like, yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I knew it was never gonna win, obviously. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't really talk about the others because I just haven't seen enough. But yeah, I'm sad that SMT didn't win because, you know,
It's
you
5
you
seconds
wanted
of
it to
fame
win.
mentioned, and they got shafted. Yeah. Best fighting game, we haven't played any of these, but Guilty Gear Strive won, and I Charlie wanted Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl to win. Best family game, I was happy that Nintendo didn't win for once, and they went to It Takes Two. Hell yeah. That's hilarious. But yeah. It was a weird category. I think we mentioned how there was like a port in here, and yeah, it was weird. But it's always kind of a Nintendo-filled category. Best sports and racing game, this went to Forza Horizon 5. This one's, you know, if you've seen any reviews of Forza Horizon 5, you know that people are like calling it the best racing game in like years. So this one made, you know, sense. There's people that want Forza Horizon 5 to be game of the year. Yeah. Best sim/strategy went to Age of Empires 4. I think we don't really, you know, have much say in this. I don't know if you played any of these games. I haven't played any of them, but yeah.
Yeah, I played a bit of Age of Empires 4. It's more of the same. I'm kind of surprised it won. I thought Flight Sim would easily take it, but yeah.
I guess we'll end on this last category since past this, it's all esports. Best multiplayer game went to It Takes Two. And I think this one we both said we voted for It Takes Two on
Yeah.
this one,
Yeah.
just because we don't have really that much positive to say on Back for Blood. Knockout City, you kind of pass it after like one day. Monster Hunter Rise we haven't played, and New World and Valheim we're just not into that. So yeah, that was well deserved. Cool to see co-op get some recognition. It Takes Two won a lot of awards, and you don't really get many co-op games nowadays. So it's probably like, yeah, it's kind of an anomaly to see a co-op game win Game of the Year. I think that's probably the first time that's happened. I think so. Really cool to see. And yeah, that kind of wraps up the Game Awards. I guess we can give like our final thoughts on it. I think it was good. I think it was probably like about the same as usual. I think they had some better announcements. Like Jeff clearly got some really cool announcements this year with like Wonder Woman and Alan Wake 2. And even like some of the other stuff like the Sonic tie-ins and stuff like that was cool. I think the show's always kind of long, but it's always kind of like hard because, he'd be kind of like turning down content, right, and ruining his relationship. So he kind of wants to show as much as he can. I definitely think it was cool. It's always up to like whatever developers choose to give to Jeff, obviously. So like, if he had Breath of the Wild 2, obviously that would be cool, but it's not up to him. It's up to Nintendo. I wish Nintendo would have showed something off, like Metroid Prime Trilogy. I actually don't think... Did any of our predictions get right from last year? Or from last week?
I don't think so. I don't think any of mine did, so...
Yeah, Game Awards is always like a surprise show where you don't see what's coming more than any other show. Just because, obviously, anything can happen. It's not like you're watching Nintendo's show. It's like any developer or publisher can come out. Yeah, I think we're both pretty positive on it. We're both happy that we got Alan Wake 2, so there's that. And some other cool announcements. So, yeah. Nice to see, and now we're getting into the winter lull. So, yeah, going forward, I guess this podcast for the next few weeks will be light on gaming news, but we'll give our thoughts on what we've been playing, and maybe we'll, like, create some, original kind of segments on the show to kind of fill in the time. So, yeah. I guess it's kind of late to mention this, but this is our 50th episode, so thanks for supporting us for all 50 episodes. We've only been doing this podcast for like a little over a year, so nice to see we're already on like 50 episodes. We've been pretty consistent over the last year or so that's nice to see. Any thoughts or comments you want to drop, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, again, thank you all for, sticking with and watching the podcast each week. Like, it's really fun to do it. I really enjoy recording the stuff with Brandon, so... it is great that we're still doing it. We may have our few off weeks here and there, but honestly, this is the most consistent thing I think I've ever done. So,
Same.
we must be doing something right. But yeah, hopefully 50 more. We can do it.
I know, we can do it. We go, like, we definitely have had challenges with, like, location-wise and, like, member-wise, with even Justin leaving and stuff like that, but we've been pretty consistent and just, finding solutions. So, definitely a highlight of the week to be able to talk about gaming news with all of you. And yeah, looking forward to doing it for 50 more. We'll see you next week for episode 51. And yeah, take care.
See you later.